state law requires this body to announce at this time that a copy of the current Open Meetings Act is available at the back of the room. It is accessible to the public. Sisson.
Here.
McDermott.
Here.
Gibbons.
Here.
Irvine.
Here.
Hines.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Thank you. At this time, we'd like to ask everybody to stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Appreciate everybody coming tonight. We have a large overflow crowd, but we will try to get everybody where they can be heard. We'll try to get them in as the agenda says. Item 1 is consent agenda. And as you'll see, there has been one special designated liquor license to the station now for an alcohol sales at Phelps County Ag Center on July 11th. That's the only thing that's been added. Any corrections or addition? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
So move.
Gibbons, Mike Sisson.
Irvine.
Yes.
Hines.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Sisson.
Yes.
McDermott.
Yes.
Gibbons.
Yes.
Motion carried. It is now time for the public forum. If there is somebody who, here at the public, who wants to address the council, the items that is not on the public forum, now is the time for that. I see a hand back here. Please stand and say your name.
I'm Linda Uden. I live out at the Sunrise View, and I have an understanding that the council is over my board out there. If that's correct, I'd like to continue. If not, I'm finished.
They're a board appointed by the council, but we do not oversee what they do.
I'd like to have her continue. Do we have authority over the Holdridge Housing Authority?
The council appoints
we
the
appoint
members
them?
of the Holdridge Housing Authority.
So it's up to us who sits on that board?
It's up to us who sits on that board.
I'd like to have her continue. This is city business.
Thank you, I appreciate that. The reason that I'm here today is the smoking issue that's being brought up out there with us. According to information that we were given when we moved in on our policy, our lease policy, it says that smoking effective January 2013, the use of cigarettes, cigar, pipes is prohibited on all housing authority property except for designated areas. The problem is the approved area for smoking is limited to the east side of the property near the dumpster and the garden area. This area is to be cleaned by the people that use it, the smokers. That's not happening. We have several people that have allergies. We have several people, well, we have one person that just had open heart surgery. We have several people that are sick. We are an elderly group that is complaining about it. What's happened is they are moving the smoking. It used to be on the outside, on the south side, north side of the facility. Because there was a complaint, they moved it to the very middle of the facility. They were given an area right in the middle of the facility to smoke. That did not, was no longer accommodating them, so they moved to a picnic area where there could be more people sitting. According to HUD regulations, they have to be 25 foot from a building. That's not happening. What's happening is that we got a letter put in our door on 2/13, telling us that it was moving from that area to the middle area, right in the center, and that the designated area was a bench there But so far, and that would have been 25 foot from each building, but so far, they've moved it, the smokers have. The smokers are now smoking outside their area. We have small patios right in front of our doorways. They come out, they have chairs out there, they sit right in front of their doorway and smoke. People that have allergies, it's blowing into their apartments. People that have had the open heart surgery, it's blowing directly into her apartment. People that have COPD, which is a breathing thing, it's blowing directly into theirs. We went to the board, we've been to the board several times, I've complained about this several times, nothing's being done about it. Then, other than getting moved to the middle. Then, we went to the board again, and I was left this in my doorway, and it says, on the west area of the Sunrise View grounds, the west bench is now the designated smoking area. As I said, it's no longer a smoking area, they've moved to the picnic table, which puts them 15 to 16 foot from a designated building area. On the east side, there's a bench, and it's, what it is we have, I don't know if you've driven by, but there's some areas out there as you're driving down 12th Street, and what they are is so that the handy bus can pick people up. There's benches sitting there, and then it's covered so that in case it's snowing or raining, that you have some protection. They moved them from there, but they moved them back there. The problem is, they're not happy there. They're still smoking in front of their apartments. What happens if the rain is coming or the snow is coming, they open their doors. We have the wooden inside door, and we have the screen outside door. They push the screen door open, they stand with their wooden door open, and they smoke between the two doors. The smoke is going back into their apartment. Our apartments are all connected. We are what we call a six-pack. There's 6 apartments in a row. Our apartments are all connected, and they all go up into the attic. So if you're living in one apartment and somebody's smoking, you can smell it in your apartment, which for people that have allergies, that's a real bad thing. For people that have COPD, that's another bad thing. For the lady that just had open heart surgery, that can't be good for her, for the illnesses and that. So what I'd like to know is why none of this is being addressed properly, because according to our lease, if these things continue, we are to become a no smoking area totally. And we're not. They just continue to what do I want to say? They
Smoke where they're not supposed to. I've got a neighbor that smokes right beside. I've got 2 doctor's orders with my health issues. And I put in my 30-day notice because I can't take it anymore.
When she turned in her health issues, both of them are several months apart. They came to the doctor. They said right on there, she has health issues and cannot be around smoke because of the allergies. I went over that one day. Her eyes were all puffed up. She couldn't breathe, and it's because her neighbor was smoking in the apartment next to her. Then, when they changed that and moved them back from the center of the compound, they moved her back to the where the bus stops, because she also can't drive because of her eyesight. She has to now walk almost a half a block to get to the bus area to be picked up.
I have to walk twice as far.
That's not, it's not fair. It's just, and I don't understand why. And it's, first we got it through our executive director, which we now have a new one, and we appreciate her. But this last letter that came out came from the chairman of our board.
Yes.
So I don't know whether the board doesn't understand the regulations that HUD has, because when I went and talked to different HUD directors, I was told, oh no, there's no smoking at all on HUD property. They can, if HUD comes in and sees that you're not following the regulations, they can take our funding away from us. That's the last thing we want to do, is to lose the funding out here. There are 48 people, or 48 apartments. There's 44 people currently living there that are dependent upon this. I myself am one of them. I don't know what I would do if I have to go to an apartment here in town. I have looked. The cheapest apartment I can find is $475 plus utilities. I cannot afford that, and I know that everybody else that lives there cannot afford that. What I need to know is what can be done about this. Can you help us, or do I have to go to a different situation?
I didn't catch your name.
Linda, Lynda Uden, Uden.
I don't follow
I live in apartment 42.
And I'm Alice Riley, and I live in apartment 12.
Thank you.
I did make up some things for you to look at. What it has is the two things that we got from the executive director and then from the board president or chairman, I guess, telling us what the new smoking regulations are. I did include in it our rights. When we sign our lease, we get, or when we recertify so that we can stay there, we get residents' rights. In that, it tells us that as owners, they are to get, and managers, they are to give proper consideration to valid resident complaints. I consider that a valid complaint. They also said that we have the right to live in a safe, sanitary housing, free from hazardous environments, and they list lead paint. Well, I'm sorry, but hazardous environment also includes smoke, because your environment is air conditioned. They also said it's with the property manager and management is to comply with rules and guidelines that are governed in our lease. I did include 2 pages in here for you to look at, and it has, it just starts out with our ordinance or our regulations, what's expected on our lease, and then the last page is with the smoking, and that's where it tells about the smoking things that HUD's brought forward in 2016. Right now, I'm just looking for help any way I can get it, and I'm hoping that you guys can help us in some way.
You got something?
I have a follow-up question. I know a little bit about the HUD guidelines because I manage a HUD property in Kearney.
Yes.
What was the Holdridge Housing Authority's response to the violation of HUD policies? The HHA board, when they found out they were violating the HUD policies that allows the residents out there to get their subsidies, what was the board's response?
Basically, I have no idea. When it was first brought to their attention, the first board meeting that we went to, we discussed that, and that's when the first thing came out about moving it to the middle of the compound. And that's what I could not understand with HUD regulations, how they could do that. The only thing I can say is that the board members actually do not know the HUD regulations. Apparently, they have not read all of that stuff, and they're relying on our director to tell them. And apparently, she doesn't know them either, because now we moved it back to this, out to the outside of the street. My understanding in talking to different executives is that there's no smoking on the grounds, that if you want to smoke, you can smoke in your car, and you can be on the HUD property parking lot, but as soon as you step out of your vehicle, that's a no-no, because that's, you know, your own property, and now you're on HUD property again. I don't understand whether these people don't understand HUD regulations. I'm assuming that there's books and books and books that you can get. I can go online and read all of this, and apparently, I don't know. But when I turned the stuff into them, we never heard anything back. All we got was that they're moving it to the center.
And you said the center, that's not the required 25 feet from doorways, or it is?
It's 25 foot from a building.
From a
yes.
building, okay. The area in the center is?
25 foot, if they stay on the bench. The
Mhm.
problem is, the smokers, the bench is only for 2 people. When the smokers get together, there's 4 or 5 or 6 of them, and that's not convenient for them. So they have moved to a picnic table, which now puts them within 15 to 16 foot from a building.
So the policies aren't being enforced? is what- okay.
Correct.
I'd like to follow up with you afterwards. I have a couple directions in which I can point you.
Okay, I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
And we can visit with Holdridge Housing Authority too.
Yeah.
But we'll let Mary follow up, and then if I need to talk with Holdridge Housing Authority, I can do that.
Okay, well, we appreciate that, and like I said, I only made 4 copies, I wasn't sure how many people were here, but I would like to leave these with you, and it does have the copies that we received from the different ones. Oh, yeah, here, now, that's real.
We thank you, Linda and Alice.
Yes, and thank you, I appreciate your time, I appreciate you listening to me, and it was nice
We'll get
meeting
that
all you
corrected.
guys. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you. Is there anybody else who has something in the open forum that is not on the agenda? Okay, I will close the public forum. I hate to do this, but we have a lot of property owners waiting outside here. If you two ladies don't mind.
Yes, can I just talk to Mary for a second?
Sure.
And-
Let me give you my phone number.
Perfect.
The next item on the agenda is going to be the East Street paving project. So,
Like tomorrow, would that work to call you?
with CDC guidelines, the 6-foot social distancing, normally we haven't had a problem. Tonight it's an issue, so we'll work through it, make sure everybody gets heard.
You want me to free up the seat?
What's that?
You want me to free up the seat in here, Mr. Mayor? I can wait.
That would be great.
We're later on the agenda.
Okay. I have room for 4 property owners for each street property. 5.
Any questions for me? I'm going to free up my seat too.
You're okay, Mary. Michael? What do you have? 1, 2. Any more property owners? Okay. Go in if you want to, Ron. Well, you'll be heard. Thank you. Sorry about the confusion. We want everybody to be able to be heard, and we want the council to hear everybody. Item 3, open public hearing to receive comment on East Street Gap paving project. Most of you property owners have received a notice. The information is what the city is looking at. I have to apologize, this was not done 30, 40 years ago. Now for progress of the city, for the community, we're going to look at improving the drainage over there, putting some sidewalks in there. There's getting to be more traffic over there, so I'm going to open up. Who wants to be the first property owner to speak up and be heard?
Cal Gleason, I just want to know why now does this come up? I've been there for 35 years and nothing has been done for 2 blocks on that street. And all of a sudden, we're doing something because there's a Mesmer's putting in a big apartment complex. Why all of a sudden do we have to flip the bill for that, for them 2 blocks? Looks to me like somebody could have figured out to tie all that in there at one time with Mesmer's. That's not going to benefit any of us. The only thing that's going to take care of the little water hole that's been in that intersection for 35 years. And the 2 gravel streets I can live with, I've been living with them for 35 years. What's another 20 years for me?
And you mentioned the drainage there, Calvin. That's one of the issues, but like I say, I apologize for the council that it should have been addressed. But we're not expecting anything from you or any of the other property owners that the rest of us here has not lived through that. Maybe at the time, when I bought my house, it already had the concrete paving there. But the property owner before me was assessed for that concrete. So we're trying to treat everybody the same here, just to clean up that neighborhood.
But who's the benefit?
The property owners and our community.
It's not going to benefit me any. Only that gravel road fixing that intersection.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, I've lived with it 35 years. What's another 20 years?
And
I
it'll
can
just
drive
be
on the gravel
more
road.
expensive.
I can
There's
drive
going to
on
be a
the
lot more
gravel
traffic
road.
now.
Are they going to pave that just so they can get into that new development? Are they too?
How much are they, how much are
Okay.
you looking to charge us for
Is
this?
that it for you, Calvin?
Well, we'll be talking all night, so
Okay.
go ahead.
How much?
Vern Ashcraft, I believe.
Yes, sir.
What's that?
How much are you charging those property owners for this?
You should have got a notice in the mail. Depends on your property.
Well, no, it's owned by the two of us, and I got a letter and he didn't.
So what is it?
And you
How
never
much?
even notified him. And he's co-owner. He's willing to have a co-owner
Or so
on
what are we looking at?
1423 too.
So for all, okay.
Is that, well, no, that would be the one there.
And the way we normally do a paving assessment, you can either pay it all at once, or like my folks did and a lot of people do, you have 20 years to pay it. Every year you'll be assessed 1/20th of the cost of the paving district. So it's not an all-at-once expense.
Is that coming out of the taxes that we already pay on those properties? Is that
Coming out, it'll be added to
the
because
taxes that are already there?
it's an increase in your property investment.
I have a question. How come, now, I talked to Doug, and I guess he's not here tonight. And he told me that the city of Holdridge had no money for the pavement. Yet, I have found out that Holdridge, the city of Holdridge has got money to put in on the pavement out by Allman Brothers. Now, what's the difference, whether it's one side of town or the other?
That was basically to improve the economic development for Allman Brothers, and we also got a grant from the state of Nebraska to help pave that project.
And the county too.
Yeah, and that's split with the county.
Yeah.
That's a joint county
I know
city.
the county took part of, you know.
But who did that benefit besides Allman Brothers? There ain't anything else out there but Allman Brothers.
It's a loop around our city. But we're talking about East Street paving here.
Right. But you come up with funding for that somewhere, why can't you do it for the 2 blocks that's over in our neighborhood?
You would like the rest of our city to pay for your streets?
Because that improvement that's going up there is gonna be benefiting the whole town. So why should 7 of us pay for the whole,
You're paying for your property, is that correct, Calvin?
well, you figure out there's 7 of us sitting here, owns the whole thing, the 2 blocks there.
And we want to treat you as fair as we've treated the rest of the town. We're treating you the same way as we have every other property owner in town.
But why didn't they tie it in with the development center?
Because it's cheaper, because we don't have to move another contractor into, he's already there. They're pouring the streets on
They
the
already got
new
2 streets
subdivision.
poured. Yes.
And as long as they're there,
It's like shutting the door after the horses already got out of the barn.
is there somebody else who'd like to be?
May I interject? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
My name is Chris. I live in Colorado. My husband and I own Eastside Plaza Mobile Home Park. They're on East Street. I've done a little bit of digging, and it seems to me that this project was actually requested by the developers. If they've requested the project, why are they not the ones paying for it?
That's my question as well.
This was not requested by the developers. The mayor is the one who's kind of been pushing it. Originally, the developer, Cliff Mesner, says they don't care. You guys don't want your streets tore up. And I presume...
I don't care if the road is paved. It doesn't bother me at all. If the city is having an issue with it and it's a city street, the city should bear the cost, especially, now, I'm happy to pay for it if me and the other property owners will be the only ones using that street. But that isn't what's happening here. This is a city-owned street. I had to pave my streets. I had to pay to have my streets paved in the mobile home park. Nobody did that for me. This is not my property, not my street. It belongs to the city. It belongs to the people. I already paid property taxes. If a developer or the city wants it paved, that should be their expense.
And you have these,
And I appreciate the fact that you say that other people in town have paid for roads. I understand that, I do. It just doesn't make sense to me that a private property owner should pay for city property. This is not my road. It's yours. It's the city's road.
you own the property at 820 East Street, is that correct?
That's correct.
Where do you live?
All of my streets are already paved, and we have a beautiful entrance and exit that leads to a paved street. I could care less whether the rest of East Street is paved or not. It doesn't bother me one bit. It doesn't affect me one bit, and it certainly won't affect my property value, like you say it will. It absolutely will not. That I'm looking at a small little section at the end of my property that has gravel. But you're assessing me $49,500 for a road that I will never use, and my tenants will never use, but the entire city will benefit. And I guarantee you, the developer off 11th Street will benefit. This is a city-owned street. I pay my property taxes. The city should be paying for this.
I didn't catch where you live, Chris.
I'm in Colorado.
There's another property owner who wants to be heard.
I have a question as far as if this goes through, what kind of access am I going to have to my house? The only access I have right now is off of East Street. When this is tore up, where do I go? Are you going to grant me
We'll have
access
to-
to this whole project?
We'll have to see that you have access, or we'll work on something. You don't even have access to the back of your property, do you,
I
Brent?
have an alley, but I can't park back there in the alley.
Non-renter, you can't neither.
And it's going to be the same way on some of the renters up the street north.
Yeah,
We're on
That's their
town,
only place, only access into there.
yeah, it'll be an inconvenience while that's getting done.
How long a project do you figure this is going to be from start to finish?
I couldn't tell you.
When do they plan to start?
Right now, the gas line needs to be moved before we can put pavement on top of it. And I see the gas company was up there today, but
The gas company's there every day for the last 3 months.
as long as the contractors in town is what we're trying to get a lower cost for the property owners.
Are you taking bid on the concrete, or did the developer have somebody he's working with and we buy through him? Or who he recommends?
We're gonna put it up for bids, but Blessings that.
What would happen on the project is if the council so chooses to continue with this, they approve the plans and specifications, and then the dates are, we have left the dates open at this point in time for a finish date as of either this fall or next spring, to the standpoint to see what kind of availability that any contractor would have to come in and do the necessary work. So it'd be a time frame on when the contractors could come and do the perform the work.
What kind of contract are you talking about?
It'd be a contractor, be like either Paulson's or Blessings.
I thought you already said that Blessings, since they have all their equipment there, we're already contracted to do it.
But I don't know if we can get them now.
They're not contracted to do it. We're hoping that they would be low bidder, because then it would hopefully be cheaper on mobilization fees, because they would be already in the area. But that doesn't foresay that they would get the bid to be low bidder. It's primarily the council's wishes and the city attorney's wishes that we take low bid. And if there's a contractor out there, say it be Paulson's or Blessings or whoever that might have, you know, they would get a little bid. And so that would be determined, so they'd have to prove the specs and whatnot, and then we'd have to go out for bids for X amount of days. And then it comes back to we open the bids, and it comes back to the council to award the bids. So I can't give you a time frame of when it would be done until we would know how the bidding went.
But you're talking fall or maybe even next spring.
Correct. And then
No driveway access, and they're paying all this money.
and well, pardon me?
They don't have no driveway
No,
access.
I understand. They
And they're
don't-
paying all this money.
I don't know if they have driveway, but they would have access to the property because within the contract to be written that every homeowner would have access to their property.
Well, then, if it would continue through the winter, is the city of Holdridge going to keep the alley open till I can have renters get in and out, or do they have to shovel in and out? I mean, if the road is
You don't
blocked-
even clear the streets
No, I
in the
know.
winter. None of the streets are cleared. It's an icy mess, and it's miserable to try and get around in Holdridge during the winter.
Well, the thing about it, the project, if the contractor could not get done by winter time, they would not do it until the spring. They wouldn't leave the project half done. We wouldn't allow that.
I have a question, if it's okay.
Okay.
How are you determining proportionately what property owners owe? Are you determining by how many feet of East Street abuts their property, or are you determining by their property value? Because I guarantee you, there's other property owners that abut much more of this gravel road than I do, but I would be paying a very unproportionately higher amount.
I think our city clerk sent you state statutes and our ordinance, which it's by the foot. You have so much footage. If you have a 50-foot property, you'd be assessed 50 foot. If you have a 100-foot property, you'd be assessed 100 foot.
What if I have a 100-foot property, but only 10 feet of that is on the gravel road? Am I assessed for 10 feet?
You're only getting assessed the concrete that's abutting your property, the new concrete, not the old concrete. You've already been assessed the old concrete, the street that's there that's paved.
I understand that. So when I look at the list for the amount that property owners owe, why am I paying 5 times as much when I have less land abutting the gravel road?
It's all by footage.
I understand what you're saying. What I'm saying is I have less land abutting the gravel road than other property owners, and I'm being assessed 45 times more.
Can you tell me how many foot that you have abutting your property?
Oh, I wish I had a tape measure and that I was there right now. But the majority of our property is paved. The majority of our property is on the paved part of East Street.
I don't have a copy of the footage of everything from
9.
Yeah, the city did not send me that information. They just sent me a letter that says we've assessed your property and this is how much you owe. They did not provide any information as far as Mr. Jones is paying for this many feet, Mrs. Smith is paying for this many feet. That information was not provided. So I'm curious why I'm being assessed 4 or 5 times more than the other property owners when I have less land that abuts the gravel.
You have almost a full property, a full block of property that is not paved.
I'm still being assessed 4 to 5 times more than the other property owners. I'm being assessed $50,000. Most of the other property owners are averaging out about $13,000 to $14,000. So are you saying that I have 5 or 6 times more property abutting the gravel road than the average property owner does on East Street?
I do not have that footage with me right now.
Is that something that you'll be able to provide?
Christine,
Yes.
I'm Dane Jensen. You spoke with me on the phone.
How are you, dear?
Good. So the way that your property was figured, the linear feet of your property that abuts, is that we used a global positioning site for our county. And we counted feet from 9th Avenue to the end of your property. And that come up about 320 plus or minus feet. So that's what we're going by, and this is an estimate of what you would owe. It's not an exact figure. So that would change somewhat, and we would use engineers' figures for the exact number of feet.
So how much am I paying per foot?
That I can't answer. That would be a Kim question.
I don't know for sure, I didn't bring that information with me. I'm sorry, I can't answer that, I don't know.
You guys knew that property owners were gonna show up tonight. This is a fair question. How much am I being charged per foot for your city street? That's a fair question. That's information that should be readily available.
Don't you not know until the bids come in? The cost per foot?
Well, the estimate, they got just a rough estimate from the consultant when we got the plans done. So the letter
So
they got was a rough estimate.
What is the rough estimate for, per square foot?
I wanna say it's probably about $150.
It looks to me like it's $177.
Okay, thank you. $177 a linear foot.
At least that's what mine is.
Thank you, Brent.
There's another property owner who would like to,
Where's the 9% interest? Where does that come in?
I didn't catch the name,
Christy Verts,
okay? What is your question?
where did you come up with the 9% interest?
That has been on the books for years and
Well,
years.
that's an outrageous amount of interest. Considering where interest rates are today, that's asinine.
And I understand the banks have lowered that. We would like to,
So you're gonna make money on the interest too.
we would like to, the property owners to either pay it or,
Do you have $20,000 just sitting around doing nothing that you can just pay?
I would
for
probably
something like this?
do the interest. I do the 9% interest. We've had that 9% for a long time.
I agree with you that 9% figure is way too high, and that needs to come down.
Is there any consideration of just fixing the drainage issue with that 10th Street intersection? 10th Avenue intersection? That's where the main problem is. I mean, the site of our house is along that. We are not gonna get any benefit from paving this. We don't have a driveway there, it's the site of our property. Yeah, and we have sprinkler heads that will probably have to be moved if you're doing sidewalks, so that's gonna be an additional cost we'll have to incur.
That is
My
another-
understand-
That is another question I asked you, Doug, is are we gonna have curb sidewalks? Are we gonna have a curved grass sidewalks? How is this configured?
My understanding, it'll be a terrace grass and sidewalk, just like the properties to the south of you.
I'm losing half of my front yard.
It'll just be continuing pretty much like everything south. We do not recommend curbside sidewalks anymore. I sure wouldn't.
I got a question for the rest of the board members.
Sure.
Nobody has said anything to this situation. Put yourself in our shoes and respond to us why we should allow you guys to go ahead and do this. put yourself in our houses, and this, you got this letter, what would your reaction be?
Can I answer it from, on behalf of my dad who is not
I
here?
want the rest of them to answer.
Oh, well, when I moved in over there on Lincoln Street, I had to help pay, I think it's 9th Street, because it comes back to a few houses or off of the street. It doesn't get everybody that's supposed to come back, and so I had to pay that. And I mean, I didn't have, what was I going to do?
This didn't come up until a developer wanted it.
Oh, I know, but I mean, on the other hand, you got to look at having muddy streets and junk all over. I don't.
35 years is
too
never
long.
bothered us.
I've been there 23. I'm with Calvin.
I heard my dad pretty much say the same thing in the 50s. We got gravel streets here on Garfield Street. What do I have to pay it? But after it got done, they were thankful. It's easier to maintain and easier to take care of.
All this is going to benefit is Mesner's development.
That's right.
That's all it's boiling down to. If they wouldn't have never come in here and developed that, we wouldn't even be talking about this situation.
Is this gonna assure that our streets get cleared doing this? Because, like I said before, it is miserable to try and drive. I work in Kearney. I have more trouble getting a few blocks out of Holdridge than I do the whole way into Kearney a lot of times. That's ridiculous. I mean, where are our current property taxes going? They're obviously not going to take care of clearing streets in the winter. And this is just gonna be more money we're putting out and just another street that won't get cleared.
Right.
I have been in your shoes because I had to pay the assessments in front of my house. So I know what you're feeling because I had to do it too.
But why now? I mean,
I apologize for that. It should have been done years ago, when the houses were there. Yeah, I apologize, but I wasn't on the board. I wasn't around. It'd been a lot cheaper years ago.
why didn't anybody come around and talk to these homeowners and say, we're interested in doing this? What is your suggestion to do to pave this stuff? This is the first notice we've got of this, anything going to be done.
And it just sounds like it's a done deal.
Right.
It's a done deal. We're just
We
sitting up
get
here
no
blowing
say.
smoke.
We have discussed this. It's been in the newspaper for some time. It's been on the radio.
Why didn't they send it to the homeowners?
The council hadn't approved of going ahead on it yet. So that's what this meeting's about.
Okay,
So are you saying this is not an approved project?
No, there's nothing done about that. This is the purpose of this meeting, to let the homeowners know so we can hear what you guys have to say about it. It's not a done deal. So I don't know where the misinformation is there.
Well,
That's,
in the letter, it sounds like it's pretty much done.
and that's the purpose of this council, is to get feedback from you guys. That's why we're all here, is to hear your guys' side from it. It's-
Why didn't you get feedback before you let Mesner's come in?
Because ultimately, this project has nothing to do with Mesner's. This is a
Well,
separate
then what are
deal.
we talking about it for?
It's just a coincidence that this came up after they decided to.
No, the timing is not very good at all, no. But it only makes sense that there's many other spots in town, just like your guys's. You guys are getting the bad luck here of where it's at and the timing, but there's other gravel roads in town that we're gonna have to talk about and discuss eventually. And, I mean, you guys just happen to have the burden of being the first one right now. And that's the whole purpose of this, is so we can hear what you guys have to say. But nothing's set in stone. It's not done.
But you're catering to Mesner's development.
No, I'm gonna be very clear about this. I can speak for myself. I can't speak for the whole council. We are not catering to Mesner. And that's my
They wouldn't
stand.
have started this thing, nothing would have been said. And all of
I
a
might
sudden, they got the
add,
streets board in there, and we're talking about paving these 2 blocks.
Christine, did you have something else?
I called and spoke with, I forget the gentleman's name, he stood up earlier. I spoke with him on the phone yesterday. I specifically asked him if this was a request from the developer, and he specifically told me, yes, this was a request from the developer. He just told me that on the phone yesterday, and hopefully he doesn't deny that. I asked, he flat out said yes. This was a request from the developer. So are you saying that it's not?
Doug told me that too.
Who told you?
Doug? Doug on the president of the,
Must be Simpson.
yeah. I finally caught up with him. And we had a meeting, but, you know, you can go.
I don't believe Messner has any property adjoining East Street at this time.
It doesn't matter.
He does have some.
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
So back to my question, are you saying that the developer did not request this? There's going to be a pretty good conflict there between what we're being told from members.
Doug, can I speak?
Randy, go ahead.
Messner stated at a public meeting several months ago that that project was going to be done whether or not we did East Street or not. I was at the public meeting, and so were several other people here in this room. So I want to make that perfectly clear. He made that statement that he didn't need that. He did not need East Street paved to do what he wanted to do. But the project has changed now too. There's other people involved with this. In my mind, I know it's a burden. I hate the thought of doing this to anybody.
$50,000, you guys?
You own a lot of frontage there. You own a lot of frontage.
And that's an estimate.
Not the measure. I don't own any more than any other property owner on that street.
Yes, you do. I'm sorry.
$50,000 worth?
It's by the front foot. It's so much every front foot, and you own almost a block.
I'm sorry, I've got it up on Google Map right now.
Is there any other property owner that we have not heard from that, Mr. Butner, Michael Butner?
Thanks, guys. I'm kind of in the same boat with Don here. We have access to our property. This says the paving of East Street from 9th to 11th Avenue will result in paved access to your property. Well, we don't have paved access to our property right now. My property is 111. This is 109.
Well, mine even belongs to him, the one. And we can all pay too.
So I
didn't hear you, Nancy.
I don't care if that street's paved or not. I'll put in a sidewalk. It's $400 to put in a sidewalk if you want a sidewalk there. I agree with all these people, you know. This is, and you know, what does PCDC have to do with this? What's their sense of this?
I'm Ron Tillery with PCDC. We invested in the property development that Messner is putting in. He, as the developer, is funding all of the street and infrastructure construction within his development. This street is outside of the Messner development. So we've been a proponent to build this new housing development because we need more housing in Holdridge. We need workforce housing, affordable housing that can meet the needs of people in our community. I believe that Messner and others in the whole development process indicated that paved streets throughout the entire community are an advantage for future growth and development. I don't believe he made a formal request to pave East Street, but I think it's generally accepted that paved streets and storm sewers and that sort of thing are better than gravel roads. Now, you may not necessarily need it for your property up front, you may not want it, I understand that. But from a community development standpoint, it's nice to have modern infrastructure that we can build on to help the whole community grow. And if we've got pockets where there are outdated infrastructure, like gravel roads, within the city limits, that's a problem for us as a community. And I understand, I'm not a big fan of shelling out dollars for this kind of thing either. But I think the city is trying to make it as easy as possible, although I agree with Jason that 9% is probably an unreasonable interest rate to charge. But I think it improves drainage, I think it improves accessibility, I think it improves your winter snow removal prospects, and a whole host of other things. So PCDC is an advocate for community improvement, and this is a community improvement. Unfortunately, you're having to pay for it, but other people in this room had to pay for the improvements that are in front of their house too. I know this is a tension point for the city and for you as property owners, and I don't know that we can find a way forward without, scratching that wound a little bit. But I hope we can, because I think after it's done and after it's paid for, you'll enjoy the convenience and the improvement.
We're gonna be pushing 80 for 20 years.
Understand.
Yeah, but the entire rest of the community benefits from it too, and so does the developer. It's not just the property owners. The street belongs to the city. It doesn't belong to us. It belongs to the city.
And the city will maintain that street with, keep it snow removal and just like we do for everybody else.
You know how many times they road grade them two streets? Maybe twice a month. I've had to ask for gravel when they were hauling dirt and stuff in there, when it was muddy. And I had chuck holes there and stuff. With their big equipment, it's gonna get just the same way it is now. The big trucks coming through there.
I went down that street today. I met a cement truck coming out of new development. East Street's not in very good shape. Met him there at 9th. It's gonna get worse with the traffic.
Why would it be any better shape? You got semis coming across it all day long. They started hauling cement at 7:30 this morning.
And Christine, you said your assessed looked like 49,000, correct?
49,500.
Yes, that's the estimate so far. We have another property owner here who looking at 36,000, has 2 properties here. So you're not out of the ballpark as far as you have a full city block. But we're just charging by the linear foot.
I understand what you're saying, and I appreciate your position, and I respect your position, but that road does not belong to me. It belongs to the city. The road does not belong to me. It should not be my responsibility, and not in a million years will you ever remove $50,000 worth of snow off that 300-foot section that I'm paying for.
I've
So
used.
for you to say the city will maintain it and shovel the snow, that's all fine and great. This is not my property to pay for.
I have,
pay a ton of property taxes. I'm sure that a portion of those property taxes go for road maintenance. I'm certain of it. And capital improvements and infrastructure. Correct?
I have used East Street to access your property for quite a few years. That's the only way I can get to your property on 820 East Street.
It's still not my street. I live in Colorado. The only way to get to my home is to drive down
Okay.
this street. I don't pay for the street. It belongs to the city.
Thank you. Appreciate your input. Any other property owner at this time? Thank you. I will close the open public hearing. Next item on the agenda, consider ordinance 2438, creating paving district number 172.
I have a couple things for clarification and questions. So just to address whose idea was this? Was this the developer's idea? Was this city council idea? We've heard it both ways tonight. The way that I remember this is that we as a council had discussed doing this gap paving project approximately 3 years ago. We did not take any action at that time, and we decided now that there's development going on in the neighborhood, and we might be able to get a lower bid on the concrete, this would be a good time to do it. That is how I remember it. So some people are saying, no, this was at the request of the developer, no, this was council. I remember it as both. So I understand that when the streets around my house were paved, the property owner at that time was assessed to cover those costs. Is that right?
Correct.
And it wasn't me, it was the person who owned the property before me. They paid that, even though they were city-owned streets, not privately owned streets.
They're all city-owned
The
streets.
property owner before me paid those assessments and passed it down to me, essentially. And that didn't come out of the city general fund. That came from the property owner's pockets at that time, and that is what you're proposing to do now? I just want to clarify, that is what we're proposing to do now, is assess it.
Yeah, it'll be
As it
assessed.
was for every other property owner in this town.
Right.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that. And then just to double check, I see that this, as it's written, says that when the assessment becomes delinquent, it will be charged at an interest rate equal to the maximum rate of interest allowed per annum under, and then it cites the state statute. So just to clarify, we are proposing that the interest rate on this assessment is going to be 9%. Is that correct?
Delinquent is what, 14? 14. If you don't pay that 9% on a yearly basis, delinquent, state statute is 14.
So it's 9% as soon as it's done, and then if you do have to take all the 20 years to pay it off, it's 14?
No.
So it's 9% from the get-go, and if you don't make your annual payment, it's delinquent at 14.
Correct.
So, okay, so it's 9%
9%.
from when it becomes, from when
Unless you
it's-
pay it off.
Okay. So you're looking at 9%, you're paying that 9% for the 20 years, unless you miss a payment, then you're paying 14%.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, thank you for clarifying, those are the questions that I have.
In the project cost estimate, the estimate that we had here, $277,000. Where the city has removed a bunch of the trees already. They have done a lot of that. Item 5 on that says remove sidewalk. I don't think there's any sidewalk ever. I've seen a lot of kids walking down that street on bike or whatever. Item 1's traffic control for $3,500. I don't know what that traffic control, but
Needs signage.
But, you know, this is just an estimate. So, any other comment from the council members?
I'd like to reiterate that I think that 9% interest rate is unreasonably high.
We've talked about that before, but right now we have something going that makes it hard to change in the midstream. But if we may possibly be able to do something later on. Ben?
This is tough for me because I haven't been in your guys' shoes. I don't know the majority of you guys. But this is the reason I ran for council, is because I feel like things like this aren't always fair. I agree with Jason. I don't think the 9% is fair right now. I don't like that. I don't like anything about this. I understand that this is how it's been done before. Other people paid for my pavement. Yeah, when you got to pay for it, you're going to say it's no benefit to you because you don't want it. But if the wear and tear on your car overall, it's going to be better for you. It's going to be better for the people coming to you. I get it. You're shaking your head. I get it. I'm with you. But I feel like this is probably going to end up getting done at some point. I don't like any of the details about it. That's why we have you guys come here, so maybe we can get your feedback and try and figure out a better way to, I don't know, soften the blow maybe. But it's like they said, they're not asking anything out of any of you guys that the rest of us have had to do at some point. I don't like that answer either. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not saying it's done or anything, but maybe we can figure out a way to try and make it a little bit better on you. I don't like doing things exactly how they've been done in the past. That's why it's at 9%, 14 delinquent, because that's the way it's always been. Maybe we can find a better way there. Maybe we can find a better way to cut the costs down, like Doug was saying. I don't know. I didn't like things like this. That's why I ran for council. I'm trying to help you guys out. We're all trying to help you out. We don't want to tax our residents, especially this amount of money. But future development, it doesn't matter whether you guys like it, whether I like it. It has to be done at some point, and somebody's going to have to pay for it. Unfortunately, it's you guys right now, if it goes through. But at some point, I mean, whether or not your kid buys your house from you, you go to a retirement home, you vacation, whatever, it's just going to get passed on to them later on. You know, somebody's going to have to pay for it. The town's going to continue to grow. That's the whole point. Either that or we die. And there's a lot of gravel roads out there that need to be cleaned up. There's a lot of areas that need to be cleaned up. Now, the houses, everything. Yours just happens to come noticeable right now because there's a project going on in that neighborhood. We're going to try and figure it out the best way we can. I know nobody in here likes it. Nobody in here, even us, we don't like it. We're going to try and make it as comfortable for you as possible, but I think something's going to have to be done eventually. That's all I got.
I've heard the property owners say it's no value to us. Ask the county assessor the property, whether your property is on a dirt street or a paved street. When you go to sell it, it's on a dirt street or a paved street. There is value to the property
So
owner.
that they're gonna raise our taxes again.
Yeah, they'll raise our
We'll get
taxes
it-
again.
we'll
Sure
get it
will.
again.
Because there is value.
To you.
Any other comments from the council?
Do you want to vote on this tonight, or do you want to talk about that interest rate? Or do you want to vote on it tonight and lock it in at 9%? Because if we pass it tonight as written, it's 9%.
Can we come in and amend that later?
If we go ahead with this property, the project, we're not going to assess any property tonight. This project's got to be completed before we do any assessing. So this will be assessed at a later date. So we can always look at that interest at a later date. And I was hoping we could get that earlier, but there's some issues that we could talk about in closed session tonight about that.
So as written, 9%, as we pass it tonight, now
That's what-
9% with the
that's what it is right
possibility of
now.
making adjustments later.
That's the way, don't like it, that's the way it's been done for years.
Can we put it in there for possible adjustments or whatever, so that,
We can look at that before we assess the property.
yeah. That way it's something in there that's written down that we did it, yeah.
Good questions. Okay, Dane, first reading?
First reading, ordinance 2438. An ordinance creating paving district number 172 of the city of Holdridge, Nebraska, designating the boundaries thereof and the property specially benefited by the improvement, directing the improvement of certain streets in said district by constructing grading, pavement, curb, gutters, sidewalks, lighting, storm, sewer, and other incidental work in accordance with the plans and specifications made and filed with the city clerk by the engineer, designating the payment of the cost thereof, providing for the special assessments against the property specially benefited, the equalization thereof, and the time and manner of paying the same, giving notice that the ordinance is subject to limited referendum, providing that thereafter subsequent measure related to said districts will not be subject to further right of referendum, providing for the severability of all parts hereof, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, and designating the time described when this ordinance shall be in effect. Be it ordained by the mayor and council of the city of Holdridge, Nebraska.
Thank you. Motion to approve first reading.
I'll make the motion.
Ben Johnson makes the motion.
With the clarification in there about the interest. About.
We'll look at that
look at
before
it
we.
Before we do that. Yes, okay. I'll second it.
Larry Gibbons.
Aldridge.
Yes.
Sisson.
Yes.
McDermott.
No.
Gibbons.
Yes.
Urbon.
Yes.
Aye.
No.
Johnson.
No.
So we have
4-3.
4 yes, 3 no's. Okay. First reading will pass. We'll move on. We'll have the next reading in 3 weeks.
Can you explain what that means to everyone who's here, please?
What's that?
Can you explain that to the property owners, what that means, first reading?
We have to have 3 readings of an ordinance before it takes into effect. So, a lot of times we can suspend the rules and we can have all 3 readings the same night. We have a majority, but we don't have 3/4 of the majority to suspend the rules. So we will be addressing that on July 5th? 7th. July 7th will be our next council meeting. We'll have the second reading at that time. So, thank you for all your input. It's a tough decision for the council, tough for the property owners. So, thank you. Item 6, approve John Sauter as a new member of the Holdridge Area Public Library Board of Trustees. It's my understanding that John has expressed an interest to serve the Holdridge Area Public Library. Appreciate people getting involved. Today Black is going off the board. So I'd like it Motion to approve John Sauter, who is fairly new attorney here in town. Glad to see that they have an interest in serving the community.
Mr. Mayor, I think someone's out there for the library board that wants to speak. I think Nancy's out here.
We don't know who's here. Nancy's.
Just talking about the library board?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm Nancy Morris, and I'm president, secretary of the library. John Thorburn is also on the library board.
I'm not on the library board, remember, I'm on the museum board.
We're doing this for the museum. I was to a library board deal with them today.
This is for the library.
This is for the library board.
Library.
Approving John Sauter on the library board?
No,
We're on item 6.
no, we're not on item 6.
Oh, okay, I apologize.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know Nancy's pretty involved on the museum and library.
Well, yeah, we had a library meeting earlier today.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Randy Aldrich.
I'll second.
Troy Erbaum.
Sisson.
Yes.
McDermott.
Yes.
Gibbon.
Yes.
Burbine.
Yes.
Hine.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Alder.
Yes.
Motion carried. Item 7, receive update and request for budgetary consideration from the Nebraska Prairie Museum.
Okay,
There we
now I'm ready. Okay, I'm Nancy Morris, this is John Thorburn, and we've got a stereoscope which comes out 4 times a year for all the members. We appreciate the donation or the support that we get from the city board.
You're giving free ones out?
Yeah, those are.
I just paid $30 here a while back.
Well,
We really appreciate your support.
Yeah, we're so glad you remember. As you know, we had a terrible flood a year ago, just on the 8th of July. We are almost 100% back to normal. It's been a huge, huge effort. And had a lot of help from a lot of volunteers, and our board has worked very hard. And so we are just about back to normal, and I'd appreciate anybody that wanted to come out and look us over. We appreciate your financial support. And anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I hope you folks do take advantage. The museum is now opening up as allowed by the changes in the health directives. And as a result of the flood and cleanup we had to do there, we've decided to make a lot of improvements to the museum and rearranged exhibits. And so you'll see a fresh new look there. I really feel like the Prairie Museum is an asset to Phelps County and an attraction for the area. And that's reflected in the visitation numbers we normally have. Obviously, that's been disrupted by the flood and now the pandemic. But we draw people in from not just all around Nebraska, but all around the United States and even around the world. People come, get regular visitors from Germany to see about the prisoner of war camp exhibit. And of course, folks from Sweden interested in their heritage. And people from around the United States, and we get a lot of good compliments from folks that have gone to museums in other parts of the United States on how well we keep our museum up. And of course, that's thanks to a lot of volunteers and our dedicated employees. But the city's been a constant supporter of the museum and literally helped us keep the lights on, and so we appreciate that.
I know the museum is pretty active. You got ESU uses it for Quiz Bowl, for the spelling bee, for different things, for the veterans program, with no rent charge. You guys bring a lot of people to the community, but I haven't heard Nancy say what I heard Micah say, but I don't know, I want to repeat it here. Micah would like to have a portion of that little occupation tax.
Well, we're always ready and happy to get a little extra.
And, you know, along those lines of the museum being an attraction, another thing we're doing is we're hosting the state corn husking contest. So we'll be bringing in people from around the state. I'm sure a number of them will stay overnight as well. So, you know, we're generating events that bring both tourists and, in this case, competitors in the corn husking contest.
Quiz bowl, and
Quiz bowl brings
weddings.
folks in.
We have weddings in the chapel, in the church.
A lot of different ways where we draw people into the community.
I forget what that was called, automobile tour. Was it 2 years ago?
Oh, yes.
That brought a ton of people.
Sure, sure.
And the people who come from all over, many states, was very, very impressed with the museum and the hospitality there. So that was pretty cool to witness that.
We have an excellent staff, we really do.
And how many volunteers do you have?
Oh, well, Sandra Slater is in charge of the library, and we have a number, like probably 15 or 20.
In that group
Just for
there,
the library.
just for the genealogy group.
And then Fred Dietrichson and a bunch of other guys they're just nuts about the trains. They're just like little boys playing with the trains.
But yeah, the volunteers are really what make the museum go. And our staff is great, and we need all that volunteer help. And yeah, it's dozens of volunteers.
And there's other museums close by who, tourist attractions, they charge, you know, like $15 per person. You guys take donations. And it's important to keep the lights on, keep electricity, the water, your own well. So, pretty good. Any questions, comments for the board? Chairman, John?
You mentioned about admission. We do not charge admission for people under 18. We want kids to see this history of our area especially.
Cost me $30 to get out of there the other day.
Well, you're special.
But my wife made me do it. We enjoyed that stereoscope. Thank you for what you do. Appreciate
your support.
Your report.
We appreciate your support, thank you very much.
And what you do for our community.
Thank you.
Item 8, consider the final reading of ordinance 2437 establishing a hotel occupation tax in the city of Holdridge, Nebraska.
Final reading, ordinance 2437. An ordinance to amend chapter 10, article 5 of the Holdridge Municipal Code related to occupation taxes, adding sections 10-505 through 10-512, and creating a hotel occupation tax in the city of Holdridge, Phillips County, Nebraska. To repeal all other ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, to provide for the severability of all parts hereof, and to designate the time described when this ordinance shall be in effect. Be it ordained by the mayor and council of the city of Holdridge, Nebraska.
Motion.
So moved.
Question? Question?
We have a motion second, so now we can have a question.
I apologize.
No problem.
Has anyone said for sure what exactly this money is going to be spent on?
We have no money. No, we have not designated.
Thank you.
That will be coming later on.
Thank you.
It goes into the general fund, Mary, as the ordinance is written.
We get, like I say, the museums want a portion. They would like to have a portion. Chamber would like to have a portion. This is the city's occupation tax. Right now goes into the general fund. But it is not spelled out that what percentage goes here, what dollars goes here.
And I'll just put it on record that my opposition to this is not the tax itself, it's the fact that we haven't identified what we're planning to do with the money.
Same.
And we have no money.
There is
You would like to see it broke down 50-50?
I would like to know what the plan is for this money, yes.
Right now, it goes in, the plan is, comes in the general fund, comes into the city, And then, like we have done with the chamber, we give them so many dollars in their budget. Museum, senior center, it just comes into the general fund right now. We'd like to get the occupation tax started, get it established.
Jason, the council will make that decision like we do all budget decisions.
I understand.
You know, it's up to the council how they want to spend those funds. I have faith in the council doing the right thing, and I'm sure the money will go to good causes.
I'll second.
Who had the motion? Randy. Ben? Okay.
Sisson?
Yes.
McDermott?
No.
Gibbon?
Yes.
Furlong?
Yes.
Hein?
No.
Johnson?
Yes.
Aldridge?
Yes.
Motion carried. The city will have an hotel occupation tax. Thank you. Item 9, consider proposal for exterior painting and interior gel coating of the swimming pool water slides.
Jason made a comment about this a few meetings ago, and so I just pursued it. And enclosed in your packet was a quote from BPI Painting Company. I never reached out to anybody else because I really don't know who else does it for the preservation of the slides. These slides were installed in 2003, and we have done nothing with them since then. As you can see, the white slide would be to repaint it, and whatever else work needs on it is $18,400. And the blue slide, which is the enclosed slide, is $16,500. Hopefully I did. I thought I did, maybe I didn't. But I was included another in your packet that if this is approved and we let the company know, they can be here in roughly 2 to 3 weeks to do the work. I know that's on stipulation now of item number 10 on the agenda, but just looking at see what the councils would like to do with the slides.
I got a question. If we allow this on this, Kim, how long does it take to finish the project?
I think it's a couple weeks.
Is this something that could be done, say we, item number 10 there, and we decide to actually open the pool in the summer, is this something that could be done in the fall?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what we would do. If so item gets passed, number 10 gets passed, I will call Brad tomorrow and tell him that we're going to be open to set amount of time, and then ask him to schedule it at set date in August, and then have him come then.
This firm's out of Kentucky?
Correct. Like I said, Mr. Mayor, I didn't contact anybody else. They contacted me and came to me, and I don't know if there's other bids out there. Like I said, I didn't put the specs out to see, but he had come to us, so.
A question from the council?
I just think they need to be refurbished. I mean, that's a long time. I can't believe we got by that long. We got a lot of money invested down there.
Those slides get used quite a bit.
Yeah, they're a major attraction.
They're a big draw.
On this note here, pricing does not include prevailing wage, or assuming we have reasonable lift access or working schedules. So So this isn't set in stone then, really, is it?
No, it's not set in stone, but it's,
I mean, I don't like the idea of does not include prevailing wage.
well, and I apologize, Larry, I did talk to the individual about that, because he asked me how you might want to do that, and after visiting with him and where they're coming from, I just felt more comfortable at this way, because they're gonna travel here, they're gonna do the job, and they're gonna leave. It's not like an outfit that's gonna come for a week and then leave, and then come for a week and leave. They're gonna come and do the project and get it done. Because I did have the same concerns on that when I talked to him about that.
Shouldn't take real long to get this project done.
I don't believe so, like I stated, I believe it's a couple weeks and they come in and they get the job done.
Ron's got something. Be nice to.
Right.
Do we, have we got any
This is
references
the
from anybody on
labor
this
is
company?
based
Do we
on
know
no,
anything about them?
like,
I have not asked for references, no, I have not.
Have we talked to any other towns that have used them, or?
I have not done that. I could do that, you know, we could table this and I could come back and ask for some references and get more information for you.
I just assumed, because I don't like that slavery is based on no prevailing wage rate.
Okay.
I mean, it could go up $20 an hour tomorrow, you know.
I think we definitely need to look at doing this, but I think we need to do a little more homework on
Yeah, I don't-
who and get some competitive quotes.
Right.
We can wait till the middle of August to do it.
Right.
Let's
Yeah, it's,
get it open first.
I'll make a motion, we table it.
I'll second.
Good, thank you.
Burbine,
Yes.
Hines,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Aldridge,
Yes.
Sisson,
Yes.
Dermott,
Yes.
Gibson.
Yes.
Awesome, thank you. Item 10, consider opening the Holdridge Municipal Swimming Pool. We've kind of went by the CDC guidelines with the League of Municipality guidelines to not open the pool. Two Rivers with the COVID-19. The council did the right thing at that time. They backed off on a lot of things. Some of the swimming pools, my understanding, was opening up 25% capacity. I see now, looking into phase 3, which starts next Monday, then we can go 75% capacity. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
And the majority of the pools within that area are planning to open in some capacity. I think we really need to look at doing the same here.
Yeah. What is the capacity of the pool?
677 people.
Oh.
Enclosed in your packet, it showed in there how it was used each month, June, July, and August, and how many kids were in there. So I just figured up it's 25% capacity is 169 people. And we, as you look at it, we very rarely ever went over that.
Question.
Yeah, Mike?
Kim, in this, it says that we have 14 lifeguards and 7 cashiers available.
I've talked to the potential manager, Mr. Anderson, and he reached out to the people, and there's 14 lifeguards willing to work and 7 cashiers willing to work. In that 14, 6 lifeguards would need to be certified. Mr. Anderson has taken upon himself to get it lined up to get certified with the Y and help out and to get these guards certified. I'm not saying that. I know a couple of years ago we worked with a full crew on only 15 lifeguards. It would be pretty strenuous, but until we know what hours of operation that the council wants to set or some of the other guidelines, I mean, it could be done.
And most of them will have to be certified in CPR too?
They're supposed to be certified in CPR also. That's within the state guidelines.
So we'll have to have some time.
We would make it a time where we could get that done. at this point in time, if this council so chooses to open, I think the closest time we could be open would be July 1st. We did notice some cracks in the piping, and we don't know why or how it happened, but the material should be here this week, and the contractor that Phil Garkowski, who's done work for us before, hoping to be here next week to get it completed. As soon as it's completed, then we would fill the pool. We like to operate the pool. We like to try and operate it a week before we open, just due to its unforeseen cracks and stuff that we have in the piping that we sometimes have to repair anyhow. So I tried to get a jump on it. They did clean all the pool yesterday morning. Got all the fixtures together. They were down pulling weeds, cleaning weeds, getting the grass area mowed. So we're just ready to get the pipe fixed and get it filled. So we're trying to get ahead of it a little bit if the council so chooses, but some of the maintenance stuff that needed to be done anyhow. So.
When's the pipe going to be fixed?
I don't know for sure, Doug. I haven't been in contact with Phil directly the last couple days, but I was told that the pipe will be in this week, and as soon as he gets it, he will be here to fix it. He has been told that this is needs to be done.
My question is,
Go ahead.
you're next. After me, you're first.
Would your recommendation be membership 50% or?
I was going to put figures today and I ran out of time. Normally for the year, a single ticket is $45 and a family is $75. I think if we would go say 20 and 30 or something, do some figuring to see how many how we could break that down per day. As noted in my notes, there's different towns are doing things different. I mean, they're making them have senior season passes only, so they're not handling so much cash. But you know, I don't know what the answers would be. But you're right, it would be a reduced rate then.
I mean, that when we first talked about it, that was a concern of mine also. But with all these updates to everything starting June 22nd, I don't really know if I don't know if having to have seasonal passes looks like people think it's that big of a deal. I mean, they're going to be money's going to be exchanging hands in many other places. They don't seem to be that worried about that. Do you really think that's something we should push? Do you think?
I don't know that that's necessary either. We could wear gloves, and then the money could be handled differently.
Maybe just have one cashier wearing gloves taking money instead of multiple cashiers.
Yeah.
I mean, my personal thought is we should maybe open it July 1st if you're in agreement with it.
Mary?
And I'd say with 50% season passes and even with daily passes too, probably. That's my thoughts.
It's $2. A daily pass is $2.
Is it $1 now?
Well, that's what he's proposing.
I think you have to have a daily pass. You have to allow people that are in town or whatever.
And I think if they want to go ahead and do a yearly pass, then go ahead and buy it at the 50% off. But a daily pass, just keep $2. So we're not. I mean, at $1, it doesn't matter to me. Whatever everybody else thinks. It's
only going to meet in 5 weeks.
Yeah.
This is the year of the COVID.
I'm really surprised that was our income from it last year. I expected that number to be a lot lower. So I mean, charging something we definitely probably need to.
Well, and for the council information, school and college is starting earlier this year, so the longest we may be able to stay open will be August 2nd. Because I do know a lot of kids got to go back to college the week of the 3rd, 4th, 5th.
So you're roughly talking 4 weeks is all, 4 or 5, 4.5, something like that.
4.5, something like that.
And budget-wise, you have to keep in mind, you're looking at a figure that what the pool makes, but technically in your budget, the pool loses $150,000.
But less this year because we weren't open as long.
Right.
Cost about the same except for wages, but as far as the chemicals and stuff to get the pool going and what it takes to get it up and running, it's still quite a bit.
So saving on, so the savings
So
is
you won't save half,
in
but
wages.
you probably save a quarter anyway or something.
So what about not charging for this shortened late start of a season for in-town residents only?
I could go either way on charging or not charging, but if you are gonna charge, you have to have that daily option.
Yeah.
I know $40 isn't a lot of money to a lot of us, but there are families in this town that can't come up with $40 for a pass, but they can come up with $2 or $4 a day. So you can not charge and lose out on $9 grand, or you can charge, but definitely have that daily option. Does it save you resources if we don't charge and you don't have to hire as many cashiers, or does that not really make a difference?
Not necessarily, because the cashiers just do not take money. They assist with, because they rent out tubes, they rent out floaties, so they assist with that. If they assist with, with lost articles and whatnot too, so. And we usually, during the day, we would have 3 cashiers. And then after 5 o'clock, then there's 2 cashiers. And so with 7 of that, we were gonna hire 8 cashiers total, and 7 out of the 8, so I don't think that would be any big deal.
So we might as well go ahead and charge.
Yes.
Just having the discounted season pass and then still the daily option. And you also put on here that some other towns are doing like swim for 90 minutes and then close to sanitize. Would it be easier if we just did 2 swimming shifts instead of doing it every 90 minutes? If we did like, okay, you're here from 1 to 4, and then we close and clean, and then the other set of families can come in from 5 to 9. Would that be easier, or would you rather have multiple shifts?
It doesn't matter.
A lot of those, like 1 hour to 90-minute blocks were done when they were at 25% capacity, so that they could cycle more people through.
Okay.
If we can go up to 75% on the 22nd, I mean, we've never really hit that.
Yeah, we've never had, I don't know that it'd even be necessary to even kick kids out, because how are you gonna filter them in? Because they're, I don't wanna say, sorry, kick kids out, to have the kids leave, and then they bring in just so everybody gets a chance to swim. But at 75%, I don't think that's gonna be a problem. And to the standpoint, if we need to, we have those cashiers could actually take time to go into the bathrooms and maybe do some sanitizing as it's open. I mean, the biggest thing is, I don't know if we have any young men compared to, we usually have, most of the cashiers are young women, so.
Do you have a standard SOP for the operation of this year with the COVID? When they're going to disinfect, who's going to wear a
I
mask?
do not have anything written up. I was wanting to know what the council's pleasure was. And if we have 2 weeks till we open, we could get something lined up.
If we, like you said, most pools are 90 minutes and shut down so they can disinfect. But with continuous operation, how are we going to do that?
I don't know. Like I said, we would just bring in an extra cashier and bring in someone else to, I mean, he used to say they couldn't do it every hour. I mean, if we want to pay them, they could come in and rotate. I mean, one could take money, one could be up front, one could be in the back, one could rotate and do the bathroom. Then when that's done, they rotate, and then one takes money, and then they just rotate through the time.
Randy?
There's an article in the World Herald today, Kim, about Omaha, opening up some of their pools.
Indoor pools?
No, they're
outdoor.
now.
They're opening outdoor?
Some of them with donations.
July 1st, the other few of them.
Somebody gave them like 600,000-700,000. The public did. But anyway, what they're doing, they're running 2 shifts. I don't know what time they open up, but they're running like a 4-hour shift, and they close the pool and do their cleaning at one time. And then they open it back up and go again, into the evening. And I think that makes more sense than constantly rotating people. Just close it down for a little bit, however long it's going to take, and then crank it back up again.
That's what happens under normal circumstances. They have the personnel down there work from 1 to 5, and then a new crew comes in from 5 to 9. That's just a normal rotation, what they do, or they have in the past.
Have that block of time in there for cleaning.
And then we could do that. We could be open from 1 to 5 and then close, say from 5 to 6 or 5 to 5:30, however long it takes. And then they could clean and then reopen, say at 6 or 5:30, however long it takes to clean up.
But it sounds like you're saying that we could just have the cleaning going on continuously, like every couple of hours, without having to make the kids leave.
The communal areas is like bathrooms and things like that is what needs to be cleaned.
Like every couple of hours,
Yeah.
right? And you can do that without making all the kids leave the pool.
Well, half the kids don't use the bathhouse anyhow.
For that.
What about like the tubes and the ladders? They all need to be cleaned?
Well, I don't know, Troy, I haven't checked into it, but I'm guessing all the
chairs,
all the ladders and chairs would have to be wiped down, and we could not do that. I mean, that would be, because we have numerous chairs that we put out and benches that we have.
And do we want to continue to rent like floaties or whatever
Well,
things you would normally do in a normal year?
And we could tell them no. One thing about that is the city does not get any of that money. When they rent the floaties out, that goes to a pool party that they usually have.
Okay.
All that money is not the city's, it's actually the employees. And they'll have a pool party at the end of the year. I don't see that happening this year, but we could tell them no on that. And now, one thing I haven't done is I haven't contacted Coke or Pepsi or Valley Vending about any vending machines either. I don't know what the availability is them. I was gonna wait to see what the council's pleasure was.
Valley Vending's been servicing their customers as normal.
I don't doubt it, but the thing about it is, Jason, is they bring machines in, and then they take them out every single year.
Yes.
And then we'd have to get the gas turned on, correct?
And the telephone.
And the telephone, which is no big deal, it's just a phone call. She does it, I don't have to do it.
Yeah, I don't know that we have to work out all the details tonight, but I think we definitely should look at opening, and I think you're more than capable of working with whoever you need to work with to come up with a good plan, you know, to follow the guidelines.
Well, and I can share with Dane, and Dane emails all of you. So I guess if anybody has any concerns or questions or comments, just let me know, and then we can, I don't know that we have to have anything written in stone, but at least a guideline we can go by.
Right.
That if we feel that we need to change something as we're going, we can do that.
If the count?
This is a rough year too. If we gotta not rent out tubes, not give out so many chairs to save on that sort of things, then people are just gonna have to deal with that, because what do you want? You want the pool open or you don't want it open? If you want it open, there's gonna be a little bit of sacrifice on the resident side. So, I mean, we're doing the best we can for them. I think we should shoot to open July 1st. Come up with the game plan for cleaning. It sounds like you're on top of it anyways. I don't think we necessarily need to close for an hour in between. It sounds like you feel like they can keep pretty good tabs on it, especially if we're not handing out so many chairs. We don't have to have 100 chairs out there, you know, during regular time. Maybe limit it to 10 or something. First 10 that request them, get them, or just don't even.
Well, we
have them
just
at all.
usually set them out, Ben. They're not requested, they're just set out.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We
throughout
don't even
the area.
need to stop
But you're
them.
right, maybe we just have to, maybe we only set out a few.
Yep, and
Not
first
set
come,
one.
first serve. That way it's less cleaning, less to worry about.
Aren't those shared chairs make you nervous? Maybe people are bringing in a camp chair. I don't know,
Well,
that
I
might
know,
be my
and
problems, but
they did say the UV light and whatnot is supposed to kill this.
the CDC said that.
Yeah, I believe so.
The pool isn't the issue, I don't think. It's the chairs and the bathhouses and, yeah. I think what the council needs to do is either, you know, open the pool and let Kim and get the operation manual going, and if anybody wants to give him suggestions, you know, let Kim know what the council would like to see. But do we want the pool open this year, starting July 1 to basically August 1?
I'll make a motion that we open the pool July 1st.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second.
Johnson,
Yes.
Aldridge.
Yes.
Sisson.
Yes.
McDermott.
Yes.
Gibbons.
Yes.
Burbine.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Maybe when you get the operating procedure, just send it to email to
Yes.
all the council members or something before you open it. Have any other suggestions or something? Super. We're gaining. We're gonna jump 11 to 12. We're gonna go into open discussion now. Let me get my cheat sheet so I don't miss anybody. This will be our last meeting on Zoom, is that correct?
I think that we'll have Zoom available for public participation, but in July, then Zoom, you can't use Zoom to vote or we have to, you can't have it.
Okay. Dane, do you have anything to add?
No. Thank you.
Chief?
The only thing I have is, if you are not aware, Two Rivers has moved to Kearney. So Two Rivers Health System is no longer located here in Holdridge. They've moved from the Johnson building. They are now in Kearney, so they've already moved. Effective yesterday or today, I was aware of that, and then I listened to their meeting today, Tuesday, I tried to listen to that. So they're now located in Kearney, and then also, I'm sorry, I was on vacation last week, so you got your council notes late, but you have them. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Yeah, we know she was gone.
He did.
Randy?
Kim, have we heard anything about streets sweepers?
I knew that was coming. We've been a little frustrated with that, so I've got a hold of the individual we bought it from, and he has checked on it at I think it's called Volvo in Lexington, and they're just waiting on the parts. So we don't hear anything, but we've been talking about seeing if they might give us a rental. So it was talked about today.
That's all, thank you.
Ben?
Kim, I was gonna ask you about the blading of South Guston. I got some complaints on it, but I was informed this morning that it was already done and.
South Guston?
Or South Denver. Bowling
Oh.
Alley Street.
Okay, well, we did the whole southwest Holdridge just last week or 2 weeks ago.
Last week.
They were complaining about it. I just got informed this morning that, hey, they did it. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Wasn't me.
Well, let me know. I mean, we're on split schedules. We got two people who operate motor graders, so.
So good job. You read my mind. Thanks.
I talked to Kim
Yeah.
about that last week. Yeah. Good. Jason?
Nothing. Thank you.
Mr. Urban?
Nothing.
Gibbons?
I'm good, thanks.
Mary?
Nothing, thank you.
I have nothing.
Rod? You're saving yours? Kim?
Nothing.
Franklin? I see you back there.
I'm here. Just one thing, Grant Pfeiffer did call me today from Jansen Chevrolet. He's got a message that our truck that we ordered is in transit. He said, I can't tell you when. He goes, I'm hoping in the next 2 weeks it should be here. But they must have got it built. So hopefully we have a truck here pretty soon, so.
Ah, cool.
Yep.
Mary?
No.
Well, I'm surprised. We need to go into open discussion for items 11 and 12.
Closed session.
Closed session, excuse me.
Make a motion, we go into executive session.
Gibbons?
Second.
Mike Sisson? For matters of litigation and personnel.
Burbine.
Yes.
Hines.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Aldridge.
Yes.
Sisson.
Yes.
McDermott.
Yes.
Gibbons.
Yes.
I wonder if we can have it here.
12 minutes drive. I want to be out here by 8. Ain't gonna happen. Do we still have Zoom going?
Ooh, hey,